Welcome to the Dental Implant Practices podcast, where each episode will explore how to integrate dental implants into your practice and into bone, with your host, Dr. Philip Gordon.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Dental Implant Practices podcast. I'm your host, Philip Gordon, and today we're going to have a lecture from Dr. Gina Dorfman, given at the Dental Implant MBA lecture meeting this last fall. She will discuss leadership and CEO qualities in your implant practice. She'll also talk about how to make your business run on course and become more successful. Dr. Dorfman runs a private practice as well as the Yappy Company, which is my provider for paperless solutions. I strongly encourage you guys to check them out, but she's an even greater person than she is a dentist. Here's her lecture now.
My name is Gina Dorfman. I'm a practicing dentist. I'm a practice owner. And I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of the company called Yappy. How many practice or business owners here? Excellent. Now, do you guys remember when you first decided to start or buy your own practice? Do you remember what you said? You said, I want to be my own boss. You said, I want to run a profitable practice and take great care of my patients. You said, I want to enjoy life-work balance. Whatever happened to that? Why is it that so many practice owners, still years away from retirement, are heard saying, I just need to do this for another 10, 15 years before I can finally hang up my handpiece? Why is it that so many practice owners say, I don't like to manage people. I don't know how to motivate employees. You see, business doesn't have to be hard, but we often make it harder on ourselves because we don't take the time to build the right team and to implement our unique culture. And we don't take the time to implement reliable, scalable systems in our practices. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to look outside of dentistry for inspiration. I wanted to learn how great leaders act and how they motivate action. And I wanted to see what lessons we can take from them to implement in our practices. And I put them together in a checklist for you. And I hope this checklist will help you unlock your inner CEO. The reason why companies spend so much time managing people is because nobody knows where they're going. Emerald Harold. Emerald Harold is the former CEO of 1-800-GOT-JUNK. How would you guys go about building a new home? Your dream home? Well, you would probably sit down and write a list of attributes that you want to see in your home. And then you and your spouse would get in a car and drive around your favorite neighborhoods and take some pictures of the homes that inspire you. And then you'd get a stack of magazines and tear out pages with the furnishings, the finishes that appeal to you. And then you're going to take all this and you're going to give it to your contractor and you're going to say, build me this. And a contractor will first hire an architect. The architect will create blueprints. Those blueprints will represent what your home is going to look like when it's finally done. And everyone who is working in that home, on that home, from plumbers to electricians to framers, everyone will know what they're building, what they're working on. You see, and these people whom you've never even met will build you the home of your dreams. And that's exactly what needs to happen in our practices. But the problem is that while many of us have this vivid vision in our head of what our practices are going to look like one day, very few of us take the time to sit down and put it on paper so that anyone who works in our practice can clearly see what we see. If we expect our employees to go to work every single day, building us the practice of our dreams, if we expect them to make decisions, take initiative, they need to see what we see. Our vision has to trickle down to them, right? So we need to paint a very vivid picture for them, a vivid vision. I learned the concept of vivid vision from Cameron Harold. A vivid vision is simply a 3-4 page document that describes what your practice looks like in great detail. 3 years from now, written in a way as though it's already happening today. Now imagine you get in a time machine and you travel 3 years out, you land in front of your practice. What do you see? And as you go inside, what does it look like? What do you hear? What is the ambiance like? What is your patient experience? Who's working in that practice? How many people? Do you have associates? Do you have more than one practice? What is your marketing like? What is your practice known for? You got to think about all those things, your office culture, and get it out of your head and put it down on paper. Don't worry, when you do this, don't worry about your grammar or your writing style, because when you're done, you can always have a copywriter or illustrator put it into something that really pops off the page. So get out of your office, go somewhere where you feel inspired, lean out into the future, and envision that dream practice. Use a technique called mind mapping and start writing every idea that pops into your head. And when you do this, shut down that pragmatic voice inside of your head that keeps asking how. It doesn't matter now how it's going to happen. You don't know that, but once you write it down, once you complete your vivid vision, that's when you and your employees together are going to figure out how to make it all happen. And it's also important that you don't just think about your practice, but think about your life. Sometimes we separate our home life from our work life, but it helps to think our lives holistically so that we can envision and create the practice that will allow us to live our best lives intentionally. Now, it's important to note that your vivid vision is not your vision statement, and it's not your mission statement. How do we create these? We come up with words we really like: quality, care, customer, patient, community, and we string them together into a long sentence, and we call it our mission statement. We strive to provide comfortable quality care to our patients, and we value our patients and our community. Something like that, right? What are your employees supposed to do with that? It's not actionable. Instead, your vivid vision needs to be just like those blueprints so that everyone who works in our practice knows exactly what they're working on. So, first item on your CEO checklist, create your vivid vision. And once you create this vision, share it with your team. When they see what you see, when they understand the direction in which the practice is going, they will see their roles in the big picture. And your team will align and start working together and will grow in the same direction, building a dream practice for you. Your vivid vision will become like a magnet. It will pull the right people in. And like a magnet, it will repel the wrong people off. Well, now that you got your vision and you shared it, it's time to reverse engineer. Vision without execution is hallucination. And the way you're going to act on it is you're going to reverse engineer, right? You're going to look at your current situation and you're going to look at your vision and you're going to start working back from your vision to figure out what needs to happen to go from where you are today to where you want to be 3 years from now. For example, let's say you want to be known as the go-to dentist for implants in your area. What needs to happen? Maybe you need to take more implant courses, like this one, right? Maybe you need to buy some equipment. Maybe you need to train your team to talk to patients about implants. Maybe you need to change your marketing in a way that you position yourself as an authority in dental implants. But once you figure out what these projects are, you're going to be able to put them on your schedule and start working on them one at a time until one day your name is synonymous with dental implants in your area. Jim Collins, in his book, From Good to Great, said, get the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the right seats. He was talking about this bus. In the 60s, there was this group called Merry Pranksters. They traveled on this bus across the United States, tripping on acid. And on this bus, they had a mantra. You're either on the bus or you're off the bus. You're either one of us, you get it, or you don't get it. They didn't want the wrong people on this bus because they knew the wrong people would ruin the trip. And our practices need to be just like that bus. Now, the only problem is Jim Collins never explained how to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. In fact, how do we do it now? How do we hire people now? We put an ad out, get some resumes, we schedule some interviews, a few of those people actually show up, and then we hire either the one we like the most or the one who has the most experience. So essentially, instead of hiring the right people, we hire from the pool of people who show up. And if we do that often enough, then we'll have a whole bunch of misfits. If you get the culture right, everything else will fall into place. Tony Hsieh. Now, you guys all heard of this company, Zappos, right? This company, Zappos, is famous for their incredible culture. What's interesting is that Tony Hsieh is a very reserved, very analytical guy, not this culture god that everyone imagines him to be. So how is it possible that this shy, analytical person created such an incredible culture at Zappos? Well, he figured out that hiring and building a culture is actually a system. At Zappos, they hire for cultural fit. What that means is that every person who works at Zappos represents their core values in the way that they act and speak. In 2004, Tony Hsieh emailed to all of his employees asking them to write a paragraph about Zappos culture. And from those responses, they actually assembled a book of Zappos culture. And every year they keep publishing a new book, and they distribute those books to all of their employees and possible future employees and vendors and customers. And they also narrowed down 10 core values that are important to Zappos. But they didn't stop there. For each core value, they also created a list of questions that they asked potential candidates to evaluate whether these candidates are the right cultural fit, whether they represent those core values. Those core values are guiding employment practices at Zappos, and this is what needs to happen in your practices. You see, every office has a culture. Culture can come about in two different ways. It can be intentionally created and curated and nurtured. Or it can happen as a collective sum of the different beliefs and behaviors and attitudes of the people on the team. Culture doesn't result from posting our mission statement or vision statement on the wall. It doesn't result from talking a good talk about teamwork and excellence, right? Culture, to successfully create culture, the kind of culture that you would want, we need to, one, identify our core values, and two, we need to ask the right questions so that we can identify the candidates who represent those values. So the next item on your list, identify your core values. And this is what our core values at Yappy look like. And we figured since it worked for Zappos, we'll do the same thing. So we wrote a list of questions for each one of those values, and we use them as our hiring guideline to find the people that work that would work well for our culture. And if you'd like, text Yappy to 66866, and I'll send you my interview questions and the core values. Or we actually have a handout at the booth if you want to stop by. Another thing that we do, both in my practice and at Yappy, is we like to conduct group interviews. I don't have a lot of time to go into group interview process. There'll be email in the last slide. Feel free to email me. But the reason why we like to do group interviews is because every single person you interview will tell you that they're a team player. But the way they behave in a group often tell us otherwise. So when we conduct those group interviews, not only we save a lot of time because we can meet a lot of people at once, but we are able to see how they interact with each other in a group setting. And that's very, very telling. All right, so you got your vision, you started to reverse engineer, you identify your core values. It's time to get the right people on the bus and get the wrong people off the bus. Dr. Howard Moran said, fire the right people. It's easy to spot the D's and the F's. It's the C players who are killing the company. How do you know who your C players are? Every year, Jack Welch, the former CEO of GE, would use this performance matrix to evaluate his employees. He would evaluate them on two criteria, results and core values. So what would Jack do if someone was down here? Low results, low values. Yeah, it's easy. These are your D's and F's that are not a good fit. And you know what? It's actually a kind thing to do because, I mean, who wants to wake up every morning and go to work to a place where they don't fit in and they're not performing well? You know, If you let them go, you give them an opportunity to find a career they would actually enjoy. What about someone up here? High results, high values. These are your all-stars, your A players. Jack would do anything to make sure that they stay with the company, whatever it took. We need to find out, I mean, different people are motivated by different things. You know, for someone, they might, stay for more money or more vacation. Others want more responsibility, more autonomy, more flexible time. We have to find out what they want, and we have to figure out a way to give it to them. Find out what their personal goals are, and figure out how you can help them make their goals come true. As Brian Tracy says, don't be a go-getter, be a go-giver. These people, if you give them what they want, if you make their dreams come true, they'll go through brick walls for you. All right, what about down here? This is your B team, right? I mean, they have the right values, they just don't produce good results, right? They step up to the plate, but they don't deliver. What do? Well, the first thing, you might try to train them. In fact, in dental offices, we don't train our team enough. So we're going to try to train them. But if you train them and train them and train them and they're still not producing good results, what do? Maybe they're in the wrong seat. Remember what Jim Collins said? Right people in the right seats. Figure out what they're good at. What do they like to do? What gets them excited? And move them on another seat on the bus. And if you do that, you will watch them soar. All right, how about here? This is your prima donna hygienist. Right? I mean, the patients like her, but she won't do anything that you ask her to do. And she always complains about not having enough time, right? What do? I mean, this is when we go in Dental Town and Facebook pages and we say business is hard. I don't like to manage people. I don't know how to motivate employees, right? Look, you stand for what you tolerate. You worry that you're going to let this prima donna hygienist go and then she'll take all of your patients with her. That's not going to happen, but she will drive your good employees away, right? I mean, keeping that bad apple employee is costing you 15 times their salary. And you're spending a lot of time trying to manage them and motivate them and keep them accountable. And meanwhile, they're driving down the morale of your entire team. And you know something? Every company tries to motivate people, right? And usually this motivation is tied to some kind of carrots or sticks because it works for a very short period of time. And then it flatlines or it declines. You know why? Because people cannot be motivated externally. People are self-motivated. When they wake up in the morning, people are either motivated or they're not. But when we hire positive, motivated people who share our values and see our vision, everything just grows. A team is not a group of people who work together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. Your next item, create an environment of safety and trust. If we create an environment where our employees feel comfortable to speak up and not feel like they're going to get shut down, if we can create an environment where people can take a chance, try something new and fail, where they can make a decision and possibly be wrong and still feel comfortable doing it, then we will inspire people to do great things, right? Create an environment of safety and trust. Make it safe for your people to do great things. Countless business owners complain about their lack of control or freedom, yet discount the value of process. Gina Whitman. That's us. Well, that's most of us, right? I mean, as business owners, we wear so many different hats. We're either with a patient or we're doing something on a management side, right? We have so many projects that we're juggling all the time. And we're the ones answering all the questions, and we're the ones fighting all the fires. It seems like there's a new thing flaring up every day you come to work. There's something happening. And so some days we're really nothing more than a bunch of sweaty, juggling hamsters running on a wheel of life. But the reason this happens is because we don't take the time to create reliable, scalable systems. We need to create systems. We need to document our processes with scalable systems, because we need to make sure that everyone who's working in our practice knows exactly how we do things. Because if we don't do it, if we don't create those processes and document systems, then people will fill the void the best they can. What's going to happen is they're going to bring their habits and the ways they do things from other places, and then you're going to end up with a mishmash of different processes. And that's why we have so many mistakes and fires all the time. Systems help you prevent mistakes. They save time. They ensure consistency. They simplify employee onboarding. They make us better leaders. The most important thing, they create freedom. They create freedom for us to take time away from the office and not worry that things will fall apart. They give us freedom to delegate the busy work so that we can concentrate on growing our practices. And more importantly, they give us the freedom to enjoy life-work balance. They give us the freedom to design and live our best lives intentionally, not by default. Thank you.